Hey everyone, Michael right back at you again on the Archangel 15. This is part 10, video 2. There's a previous video I did before this. Please view all my presentations in sequential order for the best viewing results. I want to start off with a disclaimer like I did in the first part of this. Please, by watching this video, you agree not to take legal action against me. Anything that I say you do not care for, do not like, or disagree with, please stop watching and discontinue watching immediately. I left off talking about basically illicit aspects of drug use, and I'm not going to get into this too much, but like I told you, LSD experiments with the CIA years ago were very interesting. Andrea Puharich did some really interesting stuff with mushrooms, and the smoking of the pipe is like very sacred when you get into spirituality. Peyote, the Native Americans used, marijuana even, and ayahuasca in South America, the Africans have certain stuff that they use as well. And I'm going to kind of corollary this into alcohol. So like how could you talk about alchemy without alcohol? I mean, alcohol is a big thing, in elite inner circles, and just like I guess spirituality, all things considered. A lot of churches actually used to use for communion red wine. It's like symbolic of like the blood of Christ. There's also like the big thing with rum. Rum's a big one, like a big sailor thing. It goes back many years. And also moonshine's a real big one as well. I want to also put a little special tribute into a friend Alina of mine, a Russian friend, taught me some stuff about anthropology. Kind of learned in an indirect way about a lot of this stuff, sorcery, I guess you could say, from her. There's people that have been practicing this and doing this for many, many years. I'm, pretty much an amateur, but I haven't seen anything of this nature that you're going to see in this video. I'm going to get to the black mass here in a little while, so bear with me. I promise you it'll be the cool part. Understand that honoring the dead is a big thing, especially with the Germans. As I write this, yesterday I wrote this New Year's Eve. It was 11/19. It's 9/11 backwards, and I have like a very deep connection to the people from 9/11. I call them the sky people. They are ever present, and like I've seen signs of the clouds, and it's almost like I can have like immediate abilities to have like a whole bunch of people at my disposal for like lawyers, marketers, all kinds of aspects of all different walks of life. Really, really interesting. The firefighters. I'm going to get into talking about a few specific people here. You really couldn't talk about all this without mentioning Aleister Crowley, again with the AL prefix. Kind of interesting there. Aleister Crowley, Mr. Ozzy Osbourne had the song Mr. Crowley. He was a magician, a prophet, a poet, a painter, a novelist. He was actually a very, very brilliant man. He's said to be the most evil person of all time. He knew the entire Bible by heart. He was very, very gifted and had special abilities. One of them, like I said, he probably definitely knew about the alchemy. He probably also knew about like this aspect of like with artwork and with poetry, how like when you like basically there's modern prophets that are among us, and certain divine incarnate beings, like they can draw a picture or painting or whatever and like almost breathe life into the existence, like it's something that's going to happen or something that's going to like have deeper embedded symbols and codes into it, very similar to Da Vinci's Last Supper. And the poems as well, to even breathe, like words in their most innate form carry meaning, they carry life, they carry existence, and to speak these words, especially to do it in like an orderly fashion of like riddles, is like a very, very, very big thing. You can understand, like I've said before, like the cloning agenda. Like they basically want to take all these people they've done DNA samples on, and like they have everybody controlled, and they want to take them, steal their kids so they can have them and use them to manifest society, and use them for sex slaves and everything else, pedophilia rings, you name it. And then they want to like kill the real people off, and then like they don't, that way they figure that they can control all of humanity, and they've done a pretty good job at this so far. But like I said, by God's design, they won't get the whole shebang. There's only a few good forces in the world that are like actively against this. But I really believe there's this thing called the mystery school, It supposedly follows it's like people that are proclaimed to be from the bloodline of Solomon. I don't know why they say Solomon when they should just go back to David, because David, in my opinion, was a much more important luminary in the realm than was Solomon. But Aleister Crowley was part of this mystery school. And I think he was kicked out of it or something like that. Somebody once told me. He had deep sexual perversions, kind of into the next person I'm going to talk about. But he supposedly like had sex with nuns or some crazy stuff like that. So then I want to talk about next Gregory Rasputin, another fellow Russian. He had like a real interesting look to him with his beard and all. If you ever get a chance, please look up Gregory Rasputin if you don't know about him. He was like a divine mystic and a healer, and interested in some really like deeper quandaries of life, and probably a psychic and also like a prophet almost. They tried, like, the cool story about him is when they tried to kill him. They eventually did kill him, but like they had to like they tried to first off poison his wine, and they put some kind of poison in it. He drank it, and he liked the way it made him feel. Like he actually like kept drinking more because he liked the way that the poison made him feel. And then he okay, so they had to like stab him they shot him a whole bunch of times. They stabbed him a whole bunch of times, tried to poison him, and then like basically he's like he was walking outside or something like that, and they literally had to take him and throw him into a river to kill him. Like I think a cold river. Definitely look him up. I had the privilege of going to his house, the museum dedicated to him in St. Petersburg, Russia in 2017 when I took my mother. I'll post some pictures of there if I can remember. I have a whole bunch of stuff for this presentation that I want to put in the intro section. Please check that out. St. Petersburg, an amazing place. Fabergé Museum, the palaces, amazing nightlife, great food, culture, people. It's very European by nature. If you're kind of hesitant on the whole Russia thing, it's probably the best place for you to go. Ballet, you name it, everything. Amazing person, definitely was Rasputin. And so I also want to talk about, I've talked numerous times about Stanley Kubrick and how it was believed by many people that he was killed after making the movie Eyes Wide Shut. And interesting note about this, it was like, first off, like the movie gets into like exactly what I'm talking about here, like deeper inner elite circles and like debaucherous stuff that they do and their occultic rituals. And the movie didn't even touch close to like the magnitude of what they really do. You know, like there's this classic scene with a blindfolded piano man, and he's playing Dmitri Shostakovich, Second Waltz, Russian composer, and you know, they get into all kinds of stuff in these places. The Epsteins and the Clintons, Trumps, they're all embedded in this. The royal family, you know, the who's who of the elites. You know, even people who probably have a few $1 million are into this type of stuff. And you know, they do that. They didn't in the movie cover. Okay, so first off, you have basically screwing other people's, you know, like sex out of wedlock, or not out of wedlock, like cheating. You know, like which isn't good, you know what I mean? Like, that's not really to honor, like, the oath of marriage to somebody, or, like, to, you know what I mean, the sanctity of it. So, you have pedophilia that they get into, big-time pedophilia rings, you know, bestiality, incest, you know, blood worship, blood sacrifice, sadism, S&M, you know, you get the point. It's real deep. Interesting, like I said, about the blindfolded piano man. And I told you that there's certain holidays that they have this type of thing. And you know, the January 2nd, the sun is the closest to the earth. Like June 6th, 6/6 is another one, I believe. And I don't know the others. I don't really care to know them. It's really irrelevant. It correlates definitely to like the sexual energy of people and of the cosmos. And you know, like chi energy, like you know, that runs through your meridian system. Just know that. And a big thing as well is that like they feed off of like taking the purity and the innocence of like young people. Like that's the whole thing with the pedophilia, is like they feel like it's almost like they can like take that energy, or like to take that purity away from somebody, it, like empowers them, or like they like draw like a demonic evil vibe from it. It's really sick. And like I said about the whole thing with certain people that are modern prophets, how like they have the ability to like foretell certain events, you know, gotten into this in the past. So let's correlate this to the concept of effigy dolls. So there's people that like can predict the future and like basically alter the course of time. And like there's definitely people that are like into voodoo and like master witch doctors, people that have been practicing this stuff for a long time. Understand the concept of like, well, first off, you can just draw pictures. You don't really need to make the dolls, but effigy dolls and voodoo dolls, real big. There's something real big about it. The key, if you're really trying to make this and do this, is to have one made with the person's hair. If you can obtain hair from the person, real big attribute there. And I've talked before about the petri dish influencing. How there's people that can actually influence petri dishes, and it's real. This is real. Like if you got like if you took a whole bunch of people that listen to what I'm saying and practice this in like an orderly religious style against the evil bad people of the world. I'm gonna kind of put a request in for this soon. That you could actually like probably. You find that like the people that they were doing it against had a higher prevalence of cancer or just died or like would fall short of or have mental illness or something like this. From what I've gathered, the Chinese, the North Koreans, and other Orientals, as well as Russians, Scottish, Irish people, and African shamans are like pretty much the best at doing this. The Scots with the red hair especially, most of them are rhesus negatives, major eugenics programs against the people with red hair, really sad. I personally like red hair, and if you like, you can say what you want about the North Koreans, but search on the internet who has the highest IQ in the world, and you're going to see North Koreans and Hong Kong, people from Hong Kong, and basically like the Asians, and like these people would absolutely embarrass our kids in school. I mean, they're on a whole other level intellectually. And I must mention, okay, so I have to mention this famous movie clip that correlates to all this. There's a famous movie from the 90s called Major League with Tom Berenger and Charlie Sheen. And there's this other player named Pedro Serrano. And he basically sets up a makeshift altar in the locker room. It's like a satire comedy on like Major League Baseball. And he sets up this, like I said, this altar. And he has this little voodoo deity named Jabu. He has like a little bottle of rum. He actually pours him and a little glass of rum and does like this daily like this exact same thing that I'm talking about here. And when I first saw it, I thought it was like hilarious or crazy, but now like oh my goodness, there's a lot of truth to that actually. So there's another player, this older veteran white player comes in and he says, you should think about taking Jesus Christ to be your personal savior. And then basically it says something like you might not want to leave that rum around here with this group of guys we have. And then Pedro Serrano says, it would be a big mistake to take Jobu's rum. The guy ends up taking it and drinking it anyway later on. It's just kind of funny. They get into this big fight about religion, just like a lot of other people do. And I'm going to tell you about my altar here in a minute. I've talked about it in the past, but you need to understand the significance of just setting up an altar. I have my own little form of worship and religion. It's outside the confines of Christianity. It incorporates Christ, but also like Allah, which is just another name for God. And I guess you could say it's like some kind of paganism and even in the eyes of some Luciferianism, Satanism, but I am by no means a Satanist. And like when you embrace what I'm trying to do, like see the elites, they just go right to Satan. But if you actually like understand that God and Satan are both the same diametrically opposed forces, and it's like your ability to choose, and that God is above all, like we have one God, then like you can actually probably have a better way of doing this than they do. I have this little deity here. It's my ex-girlfriend from many years ago gave this to me. It actually belonged to a gentleman that passed away from a heroin overdose, but you can see like why I incorporated this into my spiritual shrine here. It's like an African American, looks like Bob Marley, kind of rolling up a joint, Jamaican maybe. Interesting stuff there. I have other stuff, so I'm going to show you my shrine. I'm real big into the fire, talked about in the past, and matches are a big thing. Like if candles, obviously a very big thing, but you must use matches, in my opinion. Like I'm real big on the matches. Can't emphasize that enough. I'll save that for later. So, I have a little makeshift shrine. You can see here some stickers on it. Luminary of Christ. That looks cool when you Turn the lights out. Feel a lot of energy from it. Got some knives. Got my snail shell. Some crystal. A duck. A bear. A little alligator reptile. Another little conspiracy I'm going to throw in there is that I really believe that the aliens were like some type of reptiles or something like this, or dinosaurs were like aliens, almost. Got like a war eagle I put in there. Also, like metals, really, really big as well. Talked before about the Moses had the bronze serpent. I have a little one I made out of copper, out of braided copper wire. And you can pretty much put anything and like change stuff up. I had a little owl. It was really cool. I gifted it to a Russian friend of mine for Christmas. Hopefully that she gets it here. And silver, very, very big as well. Silver, real big in this whole thing. Certain gemstones. I'll show you some amber here. I've talked about the amber room. Very, very special energy to amber. Talked about my my violin rosin. I mentioned, like I said, about Einstein. He had his violin named Lena. Pretty cool, this story there. And you know, I still actually celebrate, you know, communion every once in a while, like adopt certain aspects of that, even if it's just like another person and myself. And understand the whole thing with alcohol, and like a big thing, like if you're into this type of like a occultic, spiritualistic thing, is like sacrificing some, or like gifting some, or like a dedication of sorts, I guess you could say. And pouring, like take some alcohol and pour it into the water. Like if you had a certain person that passed away you want to honor, and like they had a certain drink that they like, maybe a mimosa, you know, I don't know, just like pour some into like the ocean or a river where it flows, and you probably see like certain results to like transpire. Like maybe with the weather, maybe you'll see a shooting star that night. It'll tell you like, you know, like wow, you know, it goes on and on, or a certain cloud formation, or you know, who knows. And like even other things you can do, like say throw a piece of pumpkin pie in it around Thanksgiving time, or sweets, something that a person liked. You know, it goes on and on. Some people would have opposition to this, so I'm going to explain, you know, the black mass here now. And like I said, the movie Major League, I'm gonna post that clip as well. If he gets into doing the thing with the snake, I showed my snake before. I don't use a live one. I'm terrified of snakes. I would never use a live one. They do this in Appalachia with real ones, but important also as well. And so basically, I briefly want to explain seances and medium abilities before I get into the black mass. Okay, so I've heard like the Freemasons, and wherever they, you know, they have their meetings, they don't have any windows. Very similar stuff with the medium stuff and abilities and seances. I've heard like a lot of people, the common thing you do is you take a picture of the person that's deceased, or the entity, and you like, you know, like go into a closed room, you light some candles, and then you look at the picture, and then you can like channel the energy from that person. I've had things where I can actually like mimic the voice of people, like almost like I'm talking like them. Really, really crazy stuff. This is kind of a cool one for my channel. Michael the Archangel. Got this St. Michael's Cathedral in Kiev, Ukraine. Have a video of that posted on my channel. And then, like I said, the seances, another aspect is like the Ouija board. You've seen the Ouija board. Like there's a difference between a seance and then the medium abilities. So I have to mention this famous clip from the 90s film Ghost. Now, I want to say that like this is like one of my all-time favorite movies. Like what I would give to see this type of cinematography and just film work in today's, you know, culture. Like we have nothing like this. So there's this film with Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze, and Whoopi Goldberg. Patrick Swayze plays this guy Sam. He was like, you know, in deep love with Demi Moore. Then she passed away, or he passed away, and you know, like they're like a day, like literally like a day or two after he dies, this guy Carl, this scumbag guy, like took part in killing him, along with this other guy Willie. Basically, he's trying to effort like 1 day later, 2 days later, like, and like on some snaky shit. Like he pours this wine like accidentally on him, and it takes his shirt off, and then tries putting the moves on her. Like she's not even over him yet, and like really that's like it almost reminds me of like some 9/11. Like probably the same thing happened to those people, sadly. And so then there's this Whoopi Goldberg, Oda Mae Brown, her name is in the movie, and she has this business with like the median abilities, and it's like basically a snake oil type thing, and like she's like trying to like they show her like with these clients, and she's like, oh, I can hear him, he's saying something, and she's like, I need more money, and she has like no clue what she's talking about. She's just taking him for a complete ride. Kind of funny, but then eventually he starts to communicate. Like this Sam finds her, and she obviously does have some type of divine abilities, and he starts communicating with her and gets her to go and talk to Demi Moore, and it's almost like in this movie he's in a form of purgatory. Like he was being tortured, like to have to see like this guy that killed him to try to take his woman, and like all this other stuff play out, and to, like not be able to like be there but not be able to talk, and it's like almost like he's in purgatory. It's the only thing I can really relate it to. There's like no other movie I've ever seen that is anything like that. And then the ending is just absolutely like it will just bring you to tears. I'm a grown man, and like it almost brings me to tears. Like basically this aura, like aurora borealis type thing, opens up in the sky, and he actually is able to communicate with Demi Moore, and she knows. And like there's this thing they say with Ditto, and then like Oda Mae Brown and Whoopi Goldberg says they're waiting for you, Sam, and he like basically transcends up to heaven. That's like the ending of the movie, and like there's like closure to the whole thing, and like he no longer has to go through the torment and everything. But the most impactful scene of the movie, and there's two scenes of it, and like I'm gonna be honest with you, like this is like one of the most scary scenes I've ever like encountered, like of anything. So there's a guy, Carl, this scumbag that used to be his like business associate that like basically set him up to be killed, and then there's this guy Willie that did kill him. And they like both have separate times where they're killed, and then like, okay, so like the guy Willie, like he gets hit by a car or something, and then like he comes out of his body, and he's looking down on his body, and he like knows for a second that like like he's like dead, and it's like real impactful to him, and just the demons come and take him away, like literally just ravage him away, and it's like this like the look on his face is just like of complete terror, and Carl, this scumbag Carl, he gets like tormented by Sam. Like he comes in and like starts typing on his computer, like all this stuff, and then like the Sam basically says that you're dead, Carl, and like he's out of his body. At that moment he knows that like all the money in the world doesn't matter, the power doesn't matter, that like he's dead, and he's like has to face that reality so like so fast, and he sees his body, and then again the demons just come and they make this screeching sound, and it's like I'm going to try to post all this as well. Just ravage him. And then, it's kind of there, got me there. So, I've talked in the past about the cloning and how, like, I'm outspoken against it. I believe, like, my mother's had multiple kids taken from her that they say miscarried. My dad even agrees to this. My sister, or the one I personally believe was switched at birth. I'm not going to get into that, like, on a personal level. It's kind of, deeply personal to my family and I. She's still my sister, obviously. And, they've taken numerous clones from these people, and like probably numerous generations, and they continually try to just cross these people with each other, and like to create like a certain like desirable phenotypic traits of like a certain bloodline, essentially. And then they peddle them all around the world, and like the drug cartels are even involved, the Italian mafia, other people as well, mainly the CIA. And it's mainly Ukrainian and Slavic people of origin, with like the little girls with the slanted eyes, and that's what they want. And it's so like in that movie Demi Moore. So like Demi Moore, I believe, is possibly like a clone herself. There's a lot of other people I could list, and like I said, this is my opinion, my First Amendment right to say what I want to say. And Demi Moore, like she was born in Roswell, New Mexico, like near like a known military base where this type of thing was most likely going on. Right near where Epstein had his, he has his cloning sex ranch as well, where he had like all these Nobel laureates, sperm bank stored, and was like impregnating multiple women at a time, and thought that he was like going to play God with genetics. And, he's probably involved with the stuff with my family as well as others. But nobody ever really talks much about Joe Biden's daughter. Look at a picture of Demi Moore And then look at a picture of Joe Biden's daughter, and like I think there's like a really really deep like resemblance there. It looks like she's a carbon copy, and like this whole thing gets into a deeper pedophile ring. Basically, with these people, anybody that has power, a lot of them, what they do is like they had their wife impregnated with like alien genetics, and then like technically, like if they were to have sex with that person, that girl, it's not like incest because it's like another person's genetics, and they must think that they're like gods or something. That like it's okay for them to have pedophile sex and all this stuff. And it's like then they probably trade them to other guys for like exchange, and like they swap back and forth. It's probably like a Freemasons thing. And another person, I saw the movie Vice a long time ago, and I think the same thing happened to one of the Cheney daughters. I think the one that's a lesbian, Liz Cheney. I'm not sure, but like it shows this eerie scene where she's like playing around the Oval Office, and like I believe that a lot of people of power allowed their kids to be basically used as like sex puppets to basically like to gain either money, power, protection, what have you. It's like a vicious cycle that goes on and on and on in like the Washington D.C. I have numerous presentations on this Washington D.C. Politico sexual misconduct. I have deep insight to it myself. Andrew Breitbart was killed, in my opinion, for talking about this. So enough on that. But it's like there's like a pecking order of sorts, and there's like genetic coups, like I said, that are like exist all over the world. And Lisa Kudrow, Friends, she also looks basically Ukrainian, Slavic. I believe she's like another one involved in this. And Ivanka, not Trump. I personally believe that she was like implanted like from another. I don't think Ivana was her mother. I think she's really Ukrainian. And like I believe that like Trump had like numerous incestual relations with her. You can see there's a picture there of them. I have other like stuff that I consider to be valid proof as well. I'm going to try to post a picture of that. And I also believe that, okay, so that's not really his daughter. And then I really believe that Tiffany is Ivanka's daughter and not Marla Maples. And you can see like a resemblance there as well. And like the whole thing, I'm not going to get into other people in the family, but like I could show you some pictures that would really make you like, maybe he has a point. I'm just very thankful that, they're on their way out. I pray to God that we make it past Inauguration Day. Yeah, this is just my opinion. So, again, the seances, the Ouija board, and whatnot, the medium abilities is like more of like a channeling. It's like the ability to like channel the energy, and like like you can channel all kinds of people's energy. And like once you become evolved at this, you can like constantly have people like transcending in and out of your body, I guess, all the time. But like I said, the key is to like have a candle, the candles, and then also the picture if you have it. And then there's like this spiritual connection with Nostradamus. And you see like on like a lot of the TV shows, you always see him pictured with like him sitting at a table with like a red cloth on the table usually, and a skull, a candle, like single candlestick, a feathered quill pen, and a chalice of wine. And it's like these certain elements are like, I guess, never get old. They're like, it's just they work. And like there's other things you can do as well. So I'm going to stop this video here now. That way I can seamlessly go into the whole thing with the black mass. And we'll start with video number 3.